Autumn, 1143, Aramondic Reckoning. Daggers of lightning slashed the night sky as heavy rain beat the stone walls of Castle Norsinow. A savage wind blew in off the iron sea, blustered around the high towers, and tore along the battlements, making the torches roar in protest, and the wall guards cower into doorways for cover. While the rain pounded the endless slate roofs, sloshed along gutters, gurgled down drain pipes, splattered into grids, or collected in water barrels. All across the castle, men, women, lords, ladies, peasant workers, servants, children, and animals alike were all glad of the shelter in the vast stone haven that was Castle Norsinow. High in the bell tower began the late night chimes. 11 faint tolls, barely heard above the storm. Graven reached the top of the stairwell and found himself in a darkened hallway with the rain beating against a single window. There was a closed door, another stairwell curling up to the top of the tower, and a broad archway leading to a vaulted corridor. Like the rest of Castle Norsinow, the Royal Wing was huge and complex. But after 2 years of being captain of the Royal Guard, Graven knew it like the backs of his massive hands. Reaching for the hoop of keys on his belt, he approached the iron-studded door. It was the only unguarded entrance to the Royal Wing. Graven unlocked the door and shouldered it open, wincing against the vicious blast of wind and rain. Because of his great height, he had to duck under the low archway before venturing out onto the high battlements. The heavy coil of rope was just where he had left it, one end of which Graven had already tied to the stone ramparts. All he had to do now was toss the rope down to the battlements below, and his work was done. And yet he hesitated. Not because of his conscience. He knew full well what he was doing was wrong. No one in their right mind would pay a man 20 gold fenrings just to drop down a rope and leave a door open. Not unless they were up to extreme no good. The fact was, Graven needed the money. Without it, he was powerless to save Eliza. Without those precious life-saving herbs, his beloved wife was as good as dead. Graven would do anything to save her, even if it meant risking his life. The reason he now hesitated was because he had the distinct feeling that other lives were also at risk. Lives even more important than his own. If Graven let the rope down for mere thieves, that was one thing. But helping assassins into the Royal Wing was another matter. What if they murdered Queen Tilda? Could Graven live with himself? It was no secret the Queen presented something of a problem to the future of the realm. King Calvin already had 2 daughters from his first marriage to Queen Helena. When he married Tilda, everyone expected her to produce a son. Now, over 7 years had passed, and Tilda hadn't produced anything except a growing fear for times to come. Without a male heir, the kingdom of Aramonde was vulnerable to their northern enemies. Those barbaric Wolflanders would never accept a woman on the Aramondic throne, and would certainly declare war on any land reigned over by a female. But King Calvin remained devoted to his wife, and refused to part with her. It didn't take a huge leap of the imagination to conclude that sooner or later someone would take action against them. Graven thought once again of his own wife, and then released the rope. If one man had to lose his love that night, better it be the king's than Graven's. It wasn't long before the strangers began to emerge one by one over the battlement wall. Draped from head to foot in black robes, they each wore deep hoods to hide their faces. Graven stood well back and remained silent, as the rain splattered off his helm and soaked the shirt beneath his pristine chainmail. There were 6 men on the battlements now, and yet more climbing over the wall. It seemed more like an attack force than an assassination. Yet Graven could discern no weapons on their persons. When there were 12 men on the rampart, they began to file in through the open doorway, all save one man, who turned to Graven and tossed a purse at his feet, instantly spilling its coins. Graven hastily knelt down to gather them up. He couldn't see them clearly in the dark, but he could tell by their size and weight that they were indeed gold fenrings. And there were 21 in number. Before Graven had chance to look up to announce the mistake, he found himself alone. Returning to his feet, he ducked back in through the archway and resolved to wait in the darkened hallway. The men would have no choice but to exit by the same door, so Graven could redress the matter of overpayment on their way out.